Right then, let's dive straight in, shall we,
Yeah.
into this rivalry that's heating up between, well, two of the biggest names in space, would you say?
Absolutely.
Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Now, their companies, of course,
Right.
SpaceX and Blue Origin,
Yeah.
are really going head-to-head. And we're going to be looking to see who's likely to be dominating the commercial space race, well, this year, 2025.
Okay.
We're calling it Rocket Wars 2025. You've given us, well, quite a lot of interesting sources, actually,
Yeah.
to delve into.
Right.
We've got discussions on some, well, space enthusiast forums, haven't we? Speculating about Blue Origin's launch schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a document highlighting key space events that are happening this year, and an article analyzing SpaceX's, well, very ambitious Starship program.
Yes.
So you're ready to sort of blast off with me and explore this world.
Absolutely. I think it's a pivotal year for both companies. And I think what we're going to see, the milestones that are achieved and the decisions they make this year, well, they will have a lasting impact on the future of space exploration.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because they've both poured so much, well, money and energy into their space ventures.
Yeah.
But they've gone about it in quite different ways, haven't they? Bezos, I mean, he founded Blue Origin way back in 2000. He's always been fascinated by space. Whereas Musk, he sort of came onto the scene a bit later, didn't he?
Yeah, he founded SpaceX in 2002
Yeah.
with the very specific goal of colonizing Mars.
That's right, yeah. And I think those contrasting visions are reflected in how their companies work, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
SpaceX have that move fast and break things kind of approach.
Yeah.
Whereas Blue Origin are much more, well, meticulous, aren't they?
Yes, much more measured.
Much more.
Reliability, I think, is the watchword at Blue Origin.
But SpaceX seem to have a bit of a head start at the moment. I mean, they've been launching rockets for years, mastered reusability with their Falcon 9.
Right.
They're really pushing the boundaries with that, and with Falcon Heavy.
Yeah,
But Blue Origin are just getting started now, really, aren't they?
that's right.
With their heavy lift market, with this new Glenn rocket,
Yeah.
which we should see its first flight, shouldn't we, this January?
Yeah, it's a really critical moment for Blue Origin.
Yes.
Because by entering that heavy lift market, which has really been dominated by SpaceX, it allows them to start competing for those much bigger, more lucrative payloads
Yeah.
for things like satellite constellations,
Yeah.
deep space missions, maybe even human spaceflight.
Yes, and there's an awful lot of speculation at the moment about, well, how many launches we can expect to see this year, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
I mean, there's some people in those forum discussions that we were talking about who are predicting, well, a very aggressive schedule, aren't they?
Yeah, some people saying 8 to 10 launches,
Yeah.
which I think is incredibly optimistic. Whereas others are suggesting 3 or 4 is probably more realistic. And
Yeah.
I think I probably agree with them. I
Yeah.
think, developing and launching a heavy lift rocket is incredibly complex. And even SpaceX had quite a lot of challenges, didn't they, when they were ramping up the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy launch cadence.
Right.
And Blue Origin have a bit of a history, don't they, of delays. So I think it's probably wise to err on the side of caution when we're thinking about how frequently they're going to be able to launch initially.
But let's imagine for a minute that they do manage to achieve this higher launch rate.
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you think that would have on the market? I mean, they've got some very big clients lined up, haven't they?
I have, yeah.
Amazon, obviously, with Project Kuiper, their satellite internet constellation,
Right.
AST Space Mobile, who are building this space-based cellular broadband network.
Yeah.
It seems like the potential is there, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, New Glenn it's designed to be partially reusable, which should help to reduce costs compared to more traditional expendable rockets.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember they're coming into a market where SpaceX have already done a lot, haven't they, to bring those launch costs down, especially with the Falcon 9.
Yes.
So to really disrupt things, I think Blue Origin are going to have to prove that they're not just reliable, they're also cost effective.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've got SpaceX with these even bigger plans, haven't we, for Starship?
We do.
Now, this fully reusable spacecraft, I mean, it's designed to carry over 100 tons to orbit. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really designed to kind of revolutionize space travel.
And they're aiming for, well, a really astonishing 25 launches this year with Starship.
That's right, yeah.
That's 5 times as many as last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Starship represents a real kind of paradigm shift in spaceflight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because this full reusability and that enormous payload capacity have the potential, I think, to reduce launch costs really dramatically.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to open up a whole range of new possibilities, both for exploration and for how we use space.
And it's a bold vision, isn't it?
It is. It's a really bold vision. And if SpaceX can achieve, well, even a fraction of what they say they're aiming for, it's going to have massive implications for the whole industry, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's very exciting. But I suppose there are still some big challenges that they need to overcome.
There are. There are.
They still need to perfect that super heavy booster landing, for example.
Yeah.
And they need to make sure that the heat shield can actually withstand atmospheric reentry.
Right.
And they're going to have to scale up production, aren't they, to support this increased launch rate. So quite a lot to do still.
There is, and I think it's worth bearing in mind that SpaceX's approach, this fly, learn, fly again philosophy, as innovative as it is, it does also come with a certain amount of risk.
Right.
I mean, their development cycles are so rapid, it sometimes means setbacks and delays, which we've seen, haven't we, with Starship?
Of course, yeah. But they're not forgetting about the Falcon rockets, are they?
No, not at all.
I mean, they're still refining the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy programs.
Yeah.
And they're securing, well, loads of launches, aren't they, for all sorts of different clients, from, well, commercial satellite operators to government agencies.
Yeah, I think it's a very clever strategy, actually, because while Starship is, the future,
Yeah.
the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy, they're the ones bringing in the money at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're also, giving SpaceX that very valuable experience with those high-frequency launches.
Yes.
So I think it allows them to sort of pursue that long-term vision while keeping, a really strong foothold in the market as it stands at the moment.
So they've got both, haven't they? They've got this amazing future thing they're working on, and at the same time, they're keeping up with the present.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's clear that they both got, well, big ambitions, haven't they, for 2025?
Yeah, absolutely.
Both SpaceX and Blue Origin. But their approaches are completely different, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, SpaceX are all about rapid innovation and really pushing the boundaries of technology.
Yeah.
Whereas Blue Origin, as we were saying earlier, are much more focused on meticulous engineering and reliability.
Yeah.
And I think that contrast really sets the stage for, a fascinating battle, doesn't it, for dominance?
Absolutely. Now, this rivalry, though,
Yeah.
it's not just about, rockets and contracts, is it?
Yeah.
It's about shaping the future, really, of, well, our relationship with space.
Absolutely.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll be looking in more detail at the specific plans and challenges facing both SpaceX and Blue Origin this year.
Okay.
And we'll explore which company is best placed to win this rocket wars.
Yeah. Hashtag TTS, the deep dive episode 2025-0106, part 2 of 3. Yeah, it's a really fascinating dynamic, isn't it?
It is. In this rocket wars scenario, who do you think is, well, ahead of the game in terms of technological innovation?
I think that's quite a difficult one to call, really.
Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX, obviously, with their iterative approach, they're really pushing the boundaries with Starship, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, that goal of creating this fully reusable spacecraft capable of interplanetary travel, it's pretty groundbreaking, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. But I think Blue Origin's New Glenn, while it's perhaps not quite so revolutionary, it does incorporate some really cutting-edge technology, particularly with that BE-4 engine, which is designed to be one of the most powerful rocket engines ever built.
Yes, the BE-4 engine. It's quite interesting, isn't it, that Blue Origin have decided to develop their own engines.
Yeah.
Whereas SpaceX, they've been relying on those Merlin engines, haven't they, for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy?
That's right, yeah. I think that's a key difference, isn't it, between their approaches?
Yeah.
Blue Origin have gone for this vertical integration, you see, so they control the entire development process, the manufacturing process as well, which means they've got more control over the quality and the timelines, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it does also potentially mean they're not quite as agile.
No, and I suppose SpaceX have gone for this more collaborative approach, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
They've been sourcing components from different suppliers.
Yeah.
And that focus on rapid iteration.
Right.
I suppose it means they can move quickly and they can adapt to changes, but it also means they might be a bit more reliant, I suppose, on others.
Yeah, there are potential dependencies there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both have their strengths and weaknesses, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see which strategy sort of wins out in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we talk a little bit about market competition now?
Okay.
SpaceX are dominating at the moment, aren't they? The commercial launch market.
Yeah.
But Blue Origin are clearly aiming to sort of, well, knock them off that top spot with New Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you see that playing out?
I think Blue Origin coming into that heavy lift market, it's a big challenge for SpaceX, isn't it? I
Yes.
mean, New Glenn with its potential cost advantages
Yeah.
and, well, Blue Origin's reputation for reliability, I think it could well attract customers who are maybe looking for a slightly less risky option.
I suppose some people might be a bit wary of SpaceX, mightn't they, with those, well, sometimes quite aggressive timelines. And they do have the occasional setback, don't they?
They do, yeah. And I think Blue Origin are really positioning themselves, aren't they, as this dependable, consistent provider.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be very attractive, especially for clients in those government and national security sectors.
Yeah, I think so. And they've got quite a long list, haven't they, of potential clients.
They have, yeah.
I mean, besides those we've already mentioned, Amazon with Project Kuiper and AST Space Mobile,
Right.
they're also in the running, aren't they, for contracts with NASA and the U.S. Space Force?
Yeah, I think securing those contracts is going to be really key for Blue Origin's success, really. Because it's not just about having, a good rocket.
Yeah.
It's about building those relationships, isn't it?
Yes.
It's about proving that you can consistently launch successful missions. And that's where SpaceX have got the advantage, haven't they, at the moment?
They certainly have, yeah. They've got hundreds of successful launches under their belt,
They have.
including, of course, those crewed missions to the International Space Station.
Yeah, that's right.
That experience is really invaluable, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It gives them a level of, well, credibility, confidence, I suppose,
Yeah,
that Blue Origin are going to have to, well, to earn
Mhm.
over time, really.
exactly, yeah.
So it seems like these rocket wars of 2025, they're not just going to be this technological battle, are they?
No.
It's going to be quite strategic as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Both of them competing for market share and for contracts, and I suppose ultimately for the trust of their clients.
Yeah. And we've got to remember that all of this is happening in a landscape that's, constantly evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, new players are emerging all the time. Technologies are advancing at an unbelievable pace. And of course, the geopolitical environment, that plays a role as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got the rise, haven't you, of China's space program.
Yeah.
That's adding another layer of complexity to the whole global space race.
Right. It's a whole new era, isn't
Yeah.
it? Of space exploration, a lot more competition, rapid innovation, more and more international participation.
Yeah, it's an incredibly exciting time, isn't it,
It is.
to be following all this. But with all of that in mind,
Yeah.
who do you think who's going to win these rocket wars in 2025?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's really hard to say for certain.
Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX, with their head start and those very ambitious expansion plans,
Yeah,
they've certainly got momentum at the moment, haven't they?
yeah. And their ambition is incredible, isn't it? They seem so determined, don't they, to revolutionize space travel
They do, yeah.
and make us, well, a multiplanetary species.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. But Blue Origin, on the other hand, with their focus on, that meticulous engineering and reliability, I suppose they could still emerge as a real competitor.
They could.
Especially if they can secure those big contracts and demonstrate that they can actually launch New Glenn consistently.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a David and Goliath story, isn't it?
It is a little bit, yeah.
In a way.
Except both David and Goliath are incredibly well-funded in this case.
They are, yeah.
And absolutely determined to succeed. I wonder if, if the winner of these rocket wars isn't going to be a single company at all.
Right.
Perhaps it's going to be, humanity itself.
Yeah.
Because all of this competition is pushing everyone forward, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's driving innovation
Yeah.
and it's pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's a really compelling thought, isn't it? Because this rivalry, as intense as it is,
Yeah.
it's actually benefiting all of us, isn't it?
It is.
By pushing those technological advancements forward and, helping us to understand the universe a bit better.
Absolutely. It's not just about launching the most rockets, is it?
No.
It's about so much more than that. Now, talking of pushing things forward and understanding things a bit better,
Yes.
in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to be looking at some of these missions that are planned for 2025,
Okay.
from satellite deployments to deep space probes.
Right.
And we'll talk about, what all these advancements actually mean for the future.
Sounds good. Hashtag TTS, the deep dive episode, 2025-0106, part 3 of 3.
We've been talking a lot about SpaceX and Blue Origin,
Yeah.
but it's not just them, is it?
It's not, no.
in this commercial space race.
No.
There are others as well, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely.
Vying for their piece of the pie
Yeah.
of this burgeoning space economy.
Yeah.
Now the United Launch Alliance.
The ULA.
ULA, they've been around for a while, haven't they?
Oh, they have, yeah.
A major player in the U.S. launch industry.
Yeah. Yeah, particularly serving those government and military clients.
That's right, yeah, for many years.
Now, they've had a few launches, haven't they?
Yeah.
With their new Vulcan rocket.
They have.
But how do they compare?
Right.
How do they, I suppose, stack up against SpaceX and Blue Origin?
I think ULA's biggest strength is their track record, really.
Yeah.
Their history of reliability
They're very reliable.
on successful missions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge asset in this industry, isn't it?
It is. It is. But I suppose they've been a bit slower, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
To embrace reusability.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is a key way, isn't it, of getting those launch costs down.
Absolutely.
Now, their Vulcan rocket, it is designed, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
To be partially reusable.
Yeah, partially.
But I don't think it's going to offer the same level
No.
of cost reduction as Falcon 9.
No, definitely not.
Or Starship.
And I think ULA have also had some challenges, haven't they?
Yes.
Moving away from kind of transition.
The reliance on those government contracts to a much more, competitive
Yes.
commercial environment.
But they're part of that consortium, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Launching Project Kuiper.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, playing quite a big role, aren't they?
Yeah.
In that huge satellite deployment.
Yeah. And they're not standing still, are they?
No.
They're continuing to develop the Vulcan.
Yeah.
Coming up with new configurations, all sorts of new capabilities to make sure they can meet the needs, really, of their clients.
Now, what about
international players?
Got the international players, haven't you?
Are they keeping up
Yeah.
with all these rapid advancements that we're seeing?
Yeah, I think they are.
With the U.S.?
I think, you've got Arianespace in Europe.
Yes, with the Ariane rockets.
Yeah, they've been a leader in that commercial launch market for a long time.
They've had a few setbacks, though, haven't they? They have had a few setbacks, it's true, yeah. But they're investing heavily in new technology and in new launch vehicles.
To stay competitive.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's a global competition, isn't it?
It is.
Which is good, isn't it?
It is.
Because it means that innovation's being driven forward.
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
These rocket wars, while people see them as a rivalry, they're pushing things forward, aren't they?
They are.
For everyone.
Oh,
I mean, it's speeding up the progress, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In space exploration, and it's opening up all these opportunities for so many different people to get involved.
Because it's not just about launching satellites, is it?
Yeah, it's not.
Or sending probes off to distant planets.
Right.
It's about expanding our knowledge.
Yeah.
It's about coming up with new technologies.
Absolutely.
And who knows?
Yeah.
It could lead to all sorts of, new industries and new jobs here on Earth.
It could.
Mm-hmm.
People don't always
economic impact.
talk about it, but the economic impact of the space industry is huge, isn't it?
It is.
And it's growing all the time.
I mean, you've got satellite communications, Earth observation, space tourism, even
space tourism, resource
exploration. Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities really are endless, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think as that cost of access to space keeps coming down, those possibilities are just going to grow and grow.
Absolutely. And I think what we're seeing now really is the start of something quite special, isn't it?
Yeah.
A new era.
It is, yeah.
In space exploration.
It is, yeah.
And it's not like before, is it?
No, not at all.
Where it was all about those government-led space programs.
Yeah, no, I think this is
different.
This is a real paradigm shift. It is.
And it's really opening up those frontiers, isn't it?
Yes.
For all of us.
It is. So to wrap up our deep dive then into Rocket Wars 2025,
I
think it's safe to say that this competition, while it is, very fierce, it's actually a good thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.